For more than 25 years, Bob Mosher is active in the world of education and training. Known as a pioneer in the field of e-learning and performance support, he wrote several books about the subject together with Conrad Gottfredson, right? Correct. Bob Mosher says it's simply not acceptable to throw learners over the classroom wall and e-learning wall into the work floor and then hope online content magically transfers to successful job performance. Ladies and gentlemen, these are his words. We are proud to have him here, Bob Mosher.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, my friend. You get that? You gonna take that? You do? You threw it? Oh, great.
Well, you can do it.
Good afternoon. Oh, come on. I need a little more support than that. I'm American. I need positive reinforcement. I have an absolutely hideous president. I mean, you have to help me with these things. Good afternoon. Oh, you're wonderful. You're wonderful. How is the conference going? Okay. Well, I'm going to do my best to have it continue to go well. You know, it's interesting. I am dying to ask a question because I want to throw something at you, which I've never been able to do during a... So be ready, and those around you, because of how well I do or don't throw things. It is wonderful to be here. Bob Mosher, I am the... and front row, folks, do you mind? I'd rather be down here. So I'll be real careful. We're in hospital, folks, so I feel better about that. It's an honor to be here. As you can tell, I'm not from around here. I come from a town in the States called Charlotte, North Carolina, beautiful city in the southern part of our country. I've been at this for 34 years. I was 5 when I started doing it. No, I wasn't actually 5 when I started doing it. I'm a little older. Let's see how we all go in this room. Raise your hand, my friends, if you've been doing this for 5 years. You've been in learning and development for 5 years. At least 5 years. At least 5. Okay, keep them up. Put them down. How about 10? Oh. Oh, here we go. 15. 20. 25. Oh, my friend, stand up. Come on, stand up. Applause for our friends who've been doing this for 25 years. You are heroes, in my opinion. That is really remarkable. Yeah, I got a lot of people often ask about my title, Chief Learning Evangelist. What do you think about that? I actually was that under a gentleman named Bill Gates and Steve Ballmer. I was the Chief Learning Evangelist for Microsoft for a number of years. And it's actually where the story I'm about to tell you started. How many of you in here do classroom instruction? You're a trainer that stands up in front of folks and delivers training? Brilliant. How many of you in here design training? You're a designer of instruction. Hands? How many of you here are managers of people that design or deliver instruction? You're a manager or a supervisor or... Did anyone raise their hand for all 3 of my questions? You're wonderful. So, guys, I started out in this world as a classroom instructor. I taught 8-year-olds in the States how to do math and science, and I was what we call a 3rd grade primary school teacher. That was my background. And then somewhere in that journey, I got my master's in the States in adult learning and computer science technology. And I sort of fell in love with that and have found my way to this point and was gracious enough and lucky enough in that journey to find my way to Microsoft. It is a brilliant company. Does everyone know Microsoft? Raise your hand if you don't know Microsoft. If you don't know, it's a small computer company in the northwestern part of the United States. And I was very blessed to work under Steve and Bill at the time when they were still there. They gave me the title of Chief Learning Evangelist. Bill was actually the first evangelist of Microsoft. It was his original title. He was the chief evangelist of Microsoft when he started the company. And my job, my friends, was to bring e-learning to Microsoft. We didn't have it then. We had classroom instruction. We didn't have e-learning then. And I had come from a company that had done that. And my first job was to help them launch that. And after we did, we went out amongst folks to, actually, we did a couple things. We first sent it in to see if we could win an award. We like awards in the United States. And so we won all these awards. We had awards from an organization called ATD. Have you ever heard of ATD? They're a large international training association for trainers and developers. We won many awards. You get nice, pretty glass things, right? Plaque things. We won a number of them at another organization called ISPI, International Society for Performance Improvement. Yeah, we won a bunch of those. So when you walked in our building, you saw all these beautiful glass things along our wall saying how wonderful we were. And so I had all that. On my staff, I had 8 on my staff. 6 of them had PhDs in instructional science or technology. I did not. They were way smarter than me. And so I'm at Microsoft. I have PhDs on my staff. We've won every award in the world that our industry says that we're spectacular. And so after we finished our e-learning stuff, I said, I want to go out and hear how wonderful that I am from the rest of the world. So I went on this tour around to talk to the learner about our classes and our stuff. It was really bad. It was really bad. What I hear overwhelmingly, not that, your awards, that's what I heard. Your classes are way too long. Way too long. You use too many acronyms. Everything's an acronym in IT, if you don't know that. By the way, IT is an acronym for information technology, right? And they're way too expensive. Tens of thousands of dollars to take them. And here's the worst part. When my people come back from your classes, none of them can run a network. That's bad when the class is on running networks, right? And so, guys, I came home from that. This was 9 years ago. And I came home from that, and it was a professional crossroads in my life. Because here I am at the best job I think an IT learning professional can have for just an unbelievable company. My budget was in the millions of dollars. Think about that. How many of you have a budget of millions of dollars to build your training? I mean, millions of dollars, honestly. And frankly, if I wanted more, I probably could have gotten more. Because millions of dollars to Microsoft is like $10 to anybody else. Right? I mean, it was really remarkable. I had this gifted team of brilliant PhDs who were passionate and young and right. And when in the end, our entire industry is telling us that we're the best at what we do. Right? All these awards. So guys, think of all of that. I go out to those who we serve, and what do I hear? You're basically terrible at what you do. Right? So I said, okay, this is troubling to me. And so I was going to quit. I was going to leave education, go do something else. And I met this wonderful man to my right over here, your left. He's the balding gentleman, or actually the bald gentleman over here on the right, Alfred Remitz. And he was kind of at a crossroads at the time. And he introduced me to what I'm about to show you. And it changed my life. Changed my life. And for the last 9 years, this is what I have focused all of my attention on. Because in my 34 years of doing this, my friends, the last 9 have been the most rewarding in my career, and at the same time, the most challenging of my career. And we're going to talk a little bit about both, right? So you ready to kind of try this? You're going to stay? I hope. So here's what I want to do. Why should you care? I'm going to talk about change in a minute, some significant change for some of you. Here's what I've learned about us. We don't like change a lot in training. People often ask me, Bob, when you do your work and you go into companies and help them with this, what is your biggest obstacle that you encounter in the learning team? The learning group. Honestly, my biggest obstacle, because they end up being the group that has to go through the most change to do this, and it's hard. Change is hard, right? The other thing I think sometimes people misinterpret, and I want to be sure you hear this, is they sometimes think that I'm saying what they do is bad. Right? I'm not saying that. I had a gentleman walk up to me at a conference and say, Bob, I know you. I've read your stuff. You're the guy that hates the classroom. I said, excuse me? He goes, yeah, no, I've read all your stuff. You hate the classroom. I said, I've never said those words, never uttered those words. I do not hate the classroom. He goes, well, read your stuff. You bash it all the time. I said, wait a second. If that's how you interpreted my words, then I apologize. Because I do not hate the classroom. But here's the thing. You know what I do hate? I hate what we've done to the classroom. I hate what we ask the classroom to do. I think it carries way too much burden. E-learning. You know e-learning? Have you heard of e-learning? LMS? LCMS? CMS? Every mess you can think of? Right? I think those are all spectacular. Hear me, please, my friends, 'cause I'm about to go on my spiel here, and you might think differently. I think every one of those things is spectacular. I also think every one of those things has been misused in our business. Right? It gets asked to do things that are unfair of us to ask it to do, like this very thing. Put someone in a room for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. With the instructor. 3 weeks. And hope that 90 days later, they can recall and remember and do everything they heard. That is unfair. Because no one can do it. But guess what? That's how we get judged, isn't it? So we get judged. Have you ever heard these words? Someone comes up to you and says, oh, you know that classroom you teach on blah, blah, blah? We hate that classroom. Why? Well, because I can't do it now. So I hate that class. Well, wait a second. You guys, honestly, the classroom probably was great. Maybe you have issues. This is why you can't. Maybe, did you practice? Did you have an application? Did you go right back and no, I was busy. No. See, it's not the classroom's fault, right? Right? So I want to talk about why it's so important for us to care about this discipline because, my friends, it's going to involve a change. Is that okay? It did for me. I'm 9 years at this. This is my 9th year in this work, and I am far from good at it, candidly. Right? But I will also say the first 3 years of this were very difficult for me because it was, in many ways, very different than I had been taught to do this. All right? So I really want to be sure, if nothing else, when I'm done in my hour and so on here, at least you think, you know what, I might want to know more about that. I think Bob made a case that it might be worth knowing that more. All right? If that's all I do today, that would be worth my time. What is it? I'm going to help you kind of try to understand what it is. But it's a big world once you get in here, I have found. But we'll start there. And this is big. How do you make it? Right? How you design it. And lastly, there you go. See, I don't hate the classroom. It's in my slides. But this is my favorite part of the whole presentation because although my first 90-ish, 80 or so minutes of it won't be anything about the classroom, literally, I'm going to end with it. Because I think here's this word, I think it saves the classroom. How's that? I think the discipline I'm about to share with you saves the classroom. It frees it, enables it to do what it is really good at and is not allowed to do now. All right? I'm an evangelist, can you tell? All right. So, and we'll talk throughout the way. I'll throw things at you while we ask questions. So, here's what I want to invite you to, my friends. Here's the thing. I only got an hour, right? I teach a workshop that's 3 months long on this. That's not much time. I got an hour and a half with you. So here's the problem, is that if you do leave going, wow, I want to know more about that, I want to give you a way to do that. I want to invite you to this community, if you wouldn't mind. It's free. It's called the Performance Support Community. You see a picture of it there on the right. You see Alfred talking there, my friend. In the bottom, his little thing there. It is a free, we're at 3,970 members. There's more than 30 of you here. You could push us over the top of 4,000 members. If you email the thing in the bottom, admin@appliedmusic.com, we will invite you in. It's free of charge, blogs, wikis, research, white papers, webinars, all right? And more stuff than I can ever tell you in the hour. It's all in there, including this presentation is in there, all right? And by the way, if you have friends, colleagues didn't get to come, invite them. Love to have them in. The more, the better. All right? So, why should you care? Do this with your neighbor, would you please, my friends? Would you do this? With the person sitting next to you. Oh, sorry. The address? Admin, A-D-M-I-N, at applysynergies.com is the, and I'll show it again at the end in my last slide. You're all taking pictures of this. Good. So, is that okay, my friend? So, turn to your neighbor and answer the question at the top of the slide. See the top of the slide? Select 2 of the top most effective solutions you have used to learn, remember, and apply the greatest performance challenges of your life. You got to pick 2. And by the way, notice there is a 9. 9 means that you may have something not on the list. That's okay. But you have to pick 2 numbers. Got it? Okay, go. Okay. You ready? All right. I find getting people to talk is never a problem. It's that whole quiet down thing that's a challenge sometimes. Okay, I want to hear a number. Yell out a number that you discussed. 6. Raise your hand if in your team you talked about the number 6. Look around you, folks. Look around, look around. Right? Another number. 3. All right, so to help with 3, if you don't mind, and to speed up our test, let's put 3 with 8. Mentoring, coaching, I get it. If you had 3 or 8, raise your hand and look around. Look around, look around. All right, another number. 9. Okay, can I get to 9s in a moment? But I do want to hear 9s. 4. Who had 4? Raise your hand if you did 4. Look around. 4. Others. We had a 9. 9. May I ask what the 9 was? Did you talk about it?
Being a coach or a mentor.
Being a coach or a mentor. You were, this is interesting, we get this one a lot. You were a coach or a mentor to someone else. Therefore, through that, you became better at it. I love that. And by the way, it's an incredibly powerful training model, by the way. To teach others is a really excellent instructional tool. The military uses this all the time. Anyone have that one? Modeling. You were modeling with others, or you... Okay. Any others? Sorry? Oh my gosh, you are way ahead of all of us, young lady. Augmented reality. We want to hang with you after this. That was great. Anyone have, let's go the other way, artificial intelligence, AI. Yeah, I know, okay. Others? Young lady.
My son.
Oh, God bless you. Her son or her family. Anyone with parents in here, have your children taught you anything? Raise your hand. Oh, in so many wonderful ways. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, how are we doing? Other numbers. Learning by example. Anyone have that one? Okay, can I ask you a question, my friends? Number 5. Lonely number 5. Oh, my goodness. Let's have a conversation about this. I've done this thousands of times with tens of thousands of us. 5 never wins. 5 rarely gets voted for. Maybe 2? Nah. Let me tell you a story. We have a story in the States of this older gentleman. It's late at night, pitch dark. He's on his hands and knees crawling around on the ground. Just crawling around. Police officer comes by and sees this poor man crawling around on his hands and knees. The police officer gets out of his car and says, are you okay? It's like midnight, pitch dark. He goes, what's wrong? He said, I've lost my keys. I've lost my keys. Cannot find my keys. So the police, and he's clearly shaken, and the police officer immediately drops to his hands and knees and starts crawling around the same. What do they look like? And kind of stuff. Half an hour goes by, nothing. The police officer goes, sir, Where did you last see them? Oh, over there by my car. Why are we looking over here? He goes, oh, well, the light is so much better over here. Friends, the classroom. This is why I think people may say I hate it. That's not, again, listen to my words here, right? You all just got through telling me that the most challenging things you do in your life, the things that you've learned, look at the three things: learned, remembered, and applied. It's interesting. One gentleman once said, if you hadn't put that apply up there, I would have voted for the classroom. Listen to that one. If you learn and remember, but if you hadn't put that apply thing, I would have voted for number 5. Here's my challenge, my friends. We are not in the learn or remember business. We are in the apply business. That's what we do. That's how we are graded. You are in a remarkably important field. I admire every one of you in this room. And for those who are served by you, who have gone through your hospitals, may I say thank you for the amazing work you do for the people in these buildings and these facilities. Without you, imagine what the world would be like, right? But here's our responsibility, my friends. This is what I wake up to every single day. This is why I left Microsoft. Because what Microsoft would not let me do was move beyond 1, 2, and 5. 1, 2, and 5. Those were the hammers of my tools, the saws, right? And I learned through that trip, through that survey that I just gave you, through my own life, that the most important things I have learned were not through 1, 2, and 5. They were through all these other things up there. And candidly, my friends, I didn't have that tool in my toolbox. Didn't know how to do it. Didn't know how to make it. Didn't know how to evaluate it, scale it, distribute it. It was not my upbringing, right? So, guys, this is why we should care about what I'm about to share with you, because the good news is there is a way to do this. I just had never seen it, done it, or been schooled in it. Anyone know, anyone recognize the word ADDIE? Does that mean anyone doing anything? ADDIE? Does that mean, anyone know what that stands for? Who does? Can you say? Analyze, design, develop, implement, evaluate. It is a classic acronym that any instructional designer, in at least the States, was taught in day 1 of teacher school. We all were taught ADDIE. Here's the problem. ADDIE makes 1, 2, and 5. ADDIE doesn't make the other numbers. It just doesn't. And by the way, it's not bad. It just doesn't do that. Right? So think about it, you guys. Here's what we're saying openly to the world. We don't make, create, measure the best ways to learn in life. Think about that. Now again, don't have this Bob hates the classroom thing. That's not where I'm going. Classroom's stunning. You have to know stuff to perform. I totally get it. I absolutely get that. But in the end, my friends, it's about performance, isn't it? I even changed my title. I'm not an instructional designer anymore. I am a performance architect. I can put my chest back and do this like Superman. Right? Right? Because that's, my friends, that's what I do. I need to architect ways in which those who are in front of me or use my stuff can perform when they're done. If they can't, I have failed. If they can pass a test but can't perform, failed. Know a lot of stuff, can't perform, failed. Right? I know a lot of stuff about accounting. I got an A. That's good in the States. Right? I got an A in the class. I can't do accounting. I can't do it. You don't want me doing your taxes. I have no idea what I'm doing in accounting, but I know it really well. Right? So, you guys, my talk today is about getting past knowing to doing. You ever had these questions? Has that ever happened to you? Any ever walked in your office and said these words? I want 5 days of leadership training. I want 3 days of clinical training. I want 3 weeks of e-learning on customer service. Anyone ever said those things? Raise your hand if you've ever heard those words. Right? Has that ever bothered you?
Yeah.
Why? Why? Why has it bothered you?
Because it doesn't say anything about what they want to learn.
Yes. It's like me walking, oh boy, this will apply to this group big time. It's like me walking into a doctor, right, and saying, I need 9 aspirin because my arm hurts. I would never do that. I would never do that, right? Because if I had known that, I'd have bought the aspirin, right? But I'm in my doctor because I don't know what I need. I have a problem. I have a pain. But I go to a professional to diagnose and analyze and addy me so he can say, well, it's broken. We got to do the following things, right? But in our world, they come in and say the solution for the problem that they hope to someday solve. And we haven't said a word, right? Well, guess what, my friends? This is what you get when that happens. Let me show you a terrifying nightmare I just got done living about a year ago. I was brought into the military in the United States to help with a really bad class. Wait till you see it in a moment. And by bad, I mean this was a class where people died if they couldn't perform. That's obviously a pretty bad, hard class. A lot going on, right? See the things on the left? Present, discuss. Those things on the left are basically the 5 elements of instruction in a classroom. Would you agree? Present, discuss, review, practice, right? So, let's look at the class, my friends. 5 days. 1,000 PowerPoint slides. 5 days, 1,000. We did the math. You had to do 33 slides an hour. You had to do a slide every 1.8 minutes. Each slide averaged 12 bullets. I don't mean the ones you fire. That means the... right? Although, maybe they felt like bullets. So you guys, let's analyze this for just a moment. You didn't see the class. You didn't sit through it, but I bet you can make a good guess. Look at these things. Which are the most powerful in a classroom? Which make it great? Practice, love that. What else? Discussion, what else? Review, guys, absolutely, right? Well, look at this, my friends. Look at the numbers. This is a cool thing to do for your classes, by the way. I highly recommend you try this. Take that little rubric on the left, those 5 things. Sit in the back of your room. Every 5 minutes, put a box. Check, check. What are they doing? Check, check. You might be surprised at where those checks land. Right? So, guys, there's a problem here, right? But here's the bigger problem. It all had to be covered. People die. People die. So you put people in a room. You guys ever heard the word Smee, S-M-E? S-M-E? You know what that stands for? Subject matter expert. S-M-E. If you sit a subject matter expert in a room and you ask them this question, how much should we cover? What's their answer every time? Everything. Right? Everything. Right? When we sat very important people in a room who knew this class was broken, everyone knew it was broken, everyone hated it. So we sat very important people in a room, people that had stars on their shoulders, if you know what I mean by that, in the military. We shared the story. They saw the name of the course. They all groaned. We hate, we're like, this is going to be so easy because we all agree it's terrible. Oh, yeah, terrible. So here comes the question. Okay, then what do we change? What do we take out? Guess what they all said? Nothing. Because here comes the word, my friends, and it was from an important guy. You have to be sure you prove to me everything is covered. So if it's not the classroom, fine. But 6 months from now, young man, that's how they talk to you, by the way. And you go, yes, sir, by the way. When I see you in 6 months, you have to convince me how you're covering it. And I don't care if it's the classroom, but it has to get covered. You guys, we've suffered from this for years. It's the cover it phenomenon, right? And until we can prove something else, I do not blame them for saying cover it all. Because it's got to get covered. Do you agree? All the stuff you teach, all the stuff, it's got to get, but the problem is if your toolkit is online learning, e-learning, and classroom, those are your cover it tools. Right? So, let's talk about other stuff. We want to actually start with the problem. 5 days of leadership training. 5 days, really, 5 days of leadership training. 5 days. Why? Are we bad leaders? No. They just can't communicate. Oh, wait. Our leaders can't communicate, really. Guys, this is a very different discussion now than 5 days of leadership training, isn't it? Right? We have to get to the root of the problem. Like the doctor goes, well, move it this way, and does it hurt there? And let me touch here, and we got to ask all those questions before we give a cast or Advil or whatever. Then we can say, how will we know it went away? This is my favorite box. It's one thing to know the problem, but what I want to know is, how do we know we solved it? Well, we'll have good leaders. Really? Good leaders. What do you mean good leaders? Well, they will, okay, here we go. They will do this. They will show that. They will, right? I want to hear all those, and then you know what? I'm going to build you something. And it may not be a classroom. Making sense? So let's talk about the solution thing. One of my favorite slides. It starts with us understanding the landscape in which we are building for. We've misunderstood this for years, right? A learner has to journey through 3 things to perform. Yeah, they got to know stuff. See it here? They got to know stuff. I get that. And we do that through, here we go, training. Love it. They come in knowing, nah. They leave knowing something. But here's the problem. That is, again, remember, if it stops there, then we did a great job, but it never stops there, does it? They want the training to equate to performance or competency on the job. You're right? We hand out evaluations here. You know, evaluate my class, 1 to 5. You ever seen those things? Did you like the instructor, 1 to 5? Were the chairs comfortable, 1 to 5? This is my favorite question. Do you think when you get back you can apply this? Really? And they're all going, yeah, I think I can. I'll give it a 9. What does that mean? Think you can apply it. Take it off your evaluations. It's a stupid question. Because they can't answer it. Guys, because it's answered by applying. It's not answered by, I think I can apply. It means nothing. It literally means nothing to any kind of analytics you'll ever do. Right? Right? So it all comes down to not that, but that. We are measured by time to competency. Time to becoming competent. The problem is, in too many organizations, that happens to training, and the learner can't make it to competency fast enough. See the green check question mark? They're struggling out there, folks. They're trying their best, but it's a scary world. It's a dark place where the keys are. Right? And even worse case, you guys are in medical? Oh my gosh, try to keep up in your world. Good luck. You live in probably the most volatile industry I know of. I mean, thank goodness. There's new stuff, new technology, new methodology, new research, new medicines, Guys, it's probably at a clip we've never seen before. That's great. But how does a doctor keep up with that? How does a nurse how does my training keep up with that? So hard. Right? Guys, this is a problem. Does this look familiar at all to you in your world? So here's what the general was saying. I showed this. Now you know he was a general. I was trying to keep that secret. In that room, I showed him the slide, and he stopped me and said, young man, here's the sting. I want green stuff the next time I see you. That's what he said. You gotta get it. Totally get it. I see why that's broken. I see why people are dying. So here's the thing. When I see you in 6 months, I want green stuff. And I know what red stuff is. I want to see green stuff. When you build green stuff, it's basically known as this, performance support. Both methodology and technology. That is the green stuff, my friends. Although it's a brown line. And the reason it is because you guys, look where it lives in the journey. Right? It starts in training, goes across the whole thing, through transfer and sustain. Right? When it's done well, watch careful. Watch the slide. When it's done well, that happens. This is the world of many of us right now. It was my world. If you do that brown line well, and I mean well, that happens. So do this with your neighbor, person next to you, like you just did with the number thing. Pick out 3 things that change from here to here. 3 things. Got it? Go. Here to here. You ready? Okay, my friends, tell me three things, and by the way, I see a number of you taking pictures of the slides and stuff. I will give these to you. You can have your own copies, so sorry about that. You're welcome to take pictures of them, by the way, but I'm happy to give you the slides as well. What are your three things? There to there. Give me one. Someone. One. Less training. There's that he hates the classroom again. Stop. No. Would you agree we overteach? Would you agree in a lot of classrooms we overteach? I would argue in almost every classroom we overteach. 1,000 slides. Oh, yeah. Overteaching. Right? Those people should have left at noon on Tuesday of that 5-day class. Because 5 o'clock on Friday, right? Right? So guys, I would argue that, here we go, the classroom has forever taught way more than it should, but here you go. When it's all you got, here come the words, you have to cover it all. You getting this? We see classroom on average reduced by half. Not because it's bad. There's the bad thing again. No, in fact, it's great now. I'm going to show you the finished product at my end of my talk. That 5-day, 1,000-slide thing is one of the favorite classes now. Very effective. But it ain't 5 days of 1,000 slides. I can tell you that right now. So less is better, my friends. Right? What else changed? Another real important one. What else did you see? What are we measured by? What are we measured by? Time to competency. See? Look at this. And by the way, time to competency started back here. Time to competency, because we're measured, when they signed up for the class, the clock's ticking as far as their manager is concerned and the learner's concerned. So look at weeks, days, months, who knows, hours. Look at this. Time to competency. Why? Because, my friends, this is an enabling model, not a knowledge gain model. The gist of the model is to enable learning, not just fill it up, not just pass it on. In fact, this might shock you, I care less about what I actually teach anymore. I mean, like you memorized it. What I really care about is, can you find it later when you need it to do it? And do you know how to do that? And have you learned a few things so you don't die? Really? I used to be all about, I want to test you on chapter 13 and see if you remembered it, or test you on chapter 4 and see if you remembered it, or test you on the whole day, and I don't even do those tests anymore. The test is life. The test is performance. One last thing. What else did you notice? One last thing. It's probably the most subtle thing of the chart. See here? Here. What? The period of sustainment. The green is green. That meant that's my way of saying dark green. Right? Look at it here. It's that use of the yellow green wasn't just the lighter green wasn't just because I like the color. We're trying to prove a point that look at how vibrant the red is. It's defined, it's rigorous, it's standard, it can be measured, it can be scaled. Look at the green after that. It's this nebulous kind of thing. Look at it here. It is a defendable learning strategy. How's that? That I can measure, I can track, I can teach. A learner can get better at. How's that? Typically in the old model, you guys, you get better by coming back to class. Right? Day 1, intermediate, advanced, those kinds of things. Version 1.0, 100 classes, 200 classes. The model is you become a 200 student by coming to the 200 class. Well, what about this? What if they could become a 200 student on their own while working through a strategy that allowed them to do that? That's what performance support does. It is an learning, enabling, instructional strategy that performers use. So, 5 moments of need. We have to understand what they're going through. So that was the journey, right? But in that journey, they're kind of needing things. Learners go through 5 moments of need from mastery to competency to sustainment. Sure, they got to learn stuff for the first time and more. Look familiar? Right? This is what we do, my friends. This is formal instruction. In the 70-20-10 world of Charles, heard him earlier, this is the 10. Right? And by the way, I'm a huge fan of the 10. Huge fan. But I don't want to do a job where I'm 10% effective. I don't know about you guys. Really? Have you ever thought of it that way? I don't want to bank my livelihood, my family, my roof over my head on a 10% return. I don't know many CFOs that would pay for that, chief financial officers. They would pay anybody to give a company 10% of anything. I want to be in the 90%, which, by the way, many would argue is the most effective part. Well, guess what, you guys? Then you have to understand how to meet these needs, how to apply and remember, how to solve problems, how to keep up with change. These are not met with these tools. I can't, oh my gosh. Who remembers books? Who in here remembers books? A few younger people. We used to bind paper between 2 hard covers. We called it, it's in a museum somewhere, but we called them books. Let me tell you a quick story. There was a gentleman in one of my classes one day, guys, and you ever had one of those students that just, you love them? Right? They hang on your every word. They ask all the right questions. They answer every question. They stay after class. They mark up their book with a highlighter. You ever seen? They're there early. They stay late. You ever had these people? Right? Well, I had this gentleman in my group. 5-day course. Friday comes. He leaves. He starts walking out of the room, and his book's on the desk. This book that he has coveted for 5 days, marked up. Everything. Those little posty things. He puts them in the corner of the pages. You ever seen this? This thing is an amazing work of art. And he's walking out of the room without it. So I scoop it up and I run down the hall. Bill! Oh my God, you forgot your book. And he said these words. No, I didn't. I go, well, excuse me? And then he said these words. Where I'm going, I don't need it anymore. Think about that. Where I'm going, where's he going? Work. It's going back to work. Our learners, in the States we call this the binder phenomenon. Binders. We like binders. Everyone has binders. Big fat ones. Behind their desk in these bookshelves. Binder after binder after binder for all these classes. Oh, they never move or open, but they've got a lot of them all back there. All these binders. All marked up and all this stuff. Yeah, so here's the thing. I'm making light, but I'm not bashing books. I think books are great, but they're a lousy reference tool. Oh my gosh, don't kill me. They are. They're great instructionally, but they're a really hard, they are. And guess what? Good luck keeping them current. Print, current. Now they're a lousy reference tool because they're out of date. This making sense? So, guys, my point is, those are the tools of 1 and 2. Books, binders. Don't not use them. You should still use those. But if you think they're 3 through 5 tools, you're wrong. They're not. We've got to learn how to build those things down there. And here's what will happen. After a while, when your budgets get cut lower and lower, you build less 1 and 2 stuff. Because you can only afford to have 3 through 5 stuff. It happens. So, this is how the learner sees the 5 moments. It's funny, when we used to do this, and Charles, I know you've seen this slide for a long time. I once had a person who took this workshop come up to me a couple years later and goes, Bob, that 5 moments of need thing, it's been amazing. I mean, it's changed our life. I'm like, wow, that's really flattering. How you doing on it? He goes, well, I'm working on the first 2. I said, what? He goes, oh yeah, 1 and 2. What happens when you number things? 2 things happen when you number things. What happens? Priority. Nobody wants to be number 5. Everyone wants to be number 1. Right? What else does it imply? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What else does it imply? Order. You do one, you don't do one and then 5. You do 1, then 2, then 3. Guys, we never meant that with this. When my colleague came up with this 20 years ago, we just needed to call it something. So the 5 moments of need sounded cool. So here's what we did. A couple years back, we asked learners, and they know the 5, they live them every day. We said, look, would you help us portray the 5 moments? What is it to you? And this is what they came back with. That is their 5 moments, my friends. It is all the sweet spot, the bullseye. Their life is apply. They live it every day. Doctors, nurses, clinicians, admin, you. We come in every day trying the best we can to apply. What happens while we're applying? We screw up. Things change that we didn't realize had. We need to learn more stuff because we'd like to apply better. Making sense? We learn new stuff because we're ready to learn new stuff. That make sense? This is the world of the 5 moments, Mr. Jennings. It's also the world of 70, 20, 10, isn't it? 10, new and more. What's the 70? Apply, absolutely. 20 has been interesting for us. Because what we found, these are pretty, defined, pretty solid. What we found in our work is that the 20 kind of has shades. 20 is what, by the way? 20 is social. What we found is people, and don't get upset with this, but for new and more, people aren't so hung up on doing it with others. They won't mind. But e-learning, I'll take that by myself, right? Yeah, right? Where they really covet friends, where they really appreciate the social component and experience, and that is when they get into trouble or keeping up. They seek out a mentor, a coach, a colleague. Make sense? But what I love about this slide from you, friends, is it gives me things to build for around that wonderful model. Right? And I'm not building anymore just for content. I'm building to meet these needs. Guys, when you sit down and look at your learning solutions, you have to lay them against this graph. And I do. When I have a learning solution in front of me that I'm building for a leadership program or a clinical or a doctor or something, I have to look at that journey and say, do I have change tools for them? Do I have solve problem tools for them? Do I have learn new, learn more, apply? Right? I'll give you my journey. In the early days, tons of these. I had tons of this. Tons. Some really bad here. Really, really bad there. Really bad. Right? So what are these things? This is my favorite lady in the whole world, besides my mom and my wife, and my daughter, and my other daughter. Well, I think she's terrific. Read this for a second, would you? Take a second. What do you think? And look at the date, by the way. Look at the date. Some of you in this room weren't alive then. I know, I see you. I know. 91. Are you kidding me? An orchestrated set of services? Really, in 1991. Guys, you have to buy this book. You have to buy this book. You have to read it. I've read it 4 times. I've read this book 4 times. Now, you're going to laugh at parts of it because it was written in 1991. Right? But you'll also read parts of it and go, oh my God, we aren't even doing this yet. She's one of those brilliant, you always say guru a lot. Thought leader. You ever say these words over here? This gentleman's a thought leader and blah, 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 blah. You ever use those words? Guru, G-R-U, right? I think we throw that word around a lot, right? This woman is that to me, right? Somebody who thinks of stuff that hasn't been invented yet, that's a thought leader, right? Right? Guys, my colleague and I have tried to change this definition multiple times because we just think we should. Because it's 91, it's got to be old, right? It's 1991, it's got to be old. Well, you guys, we keep coming back to it all the time. When we go into our organizations and start trying to show people what this is and try to build it, we show them this slide. Here's the thing. Remember the generals? Remember the come back in 6 months, young man? Showed him this because he wanted to know what green stuff was. Remember he said he wanted green stuff. I want more green stuff. And by the way, young man, what is that, by the way? Thank goodness I'd read this book. Because I showed him the slide, and he went, oh, yeah. Expect to see tons of that in 6 months. That was the scarier part. Do this with your neighbor, would you? What words mean the most to you in that definition? Would you do this? Turn to your neighbor, like you did a minute ago. Bless you. What words mean the most to you as a learning professional in that paragraph? Go. Let's have you back. All right, my friends, give me one word. One word, please. On demand. Raise your hand. On demand. Who had that? Oh, good for you. Here's what should scare you about that. What does on demand imply? Who's doing it? You do. The learner gets it and uses it when they need it. We don't like that, people. We don't like that. We like classrooms and LMSs and training tracks, and we like control. We like control. Why? Why? For all the right reasons, because we care, and I want to know you did it. Right? I want to know you did it. Not here, my friends. Although, I will say in the same breath, which is kind of cool, you can do analytics behind all of this, and you can see who did what, when, and how often. But the demanding part goes away, because they on demand? How dare we? How dare we? Go back to your work, and on Tuesday at 4, use this tool. They may not need it at Tuesday at 4, right? They will tell you and decide when they need it. I love that word. What else? Sorry? Okay, how many people had some part of high-level job performance in there? Yeah, you know what I love about that is she didn't just say job performance. Did she? I've read this thing a zillion times and I've taken it apart. She intended some words up here, folks, not just to make it a longer thing. Where she's saying is, how dare we settle for low-level job performance? That's what I want. I want the people who leave my classes to do low-level job performance. Or how about this? Average job performance. No. I want to achieve high level. I'd love them to achieve high-level job performance. What else? Integrated. Love that. This is complex, my friends. This is complex. Integrated. This is a system. We're throwing the word ecosystem around a lot in our business. Have you heard that one yet? Learning is an ecosystem. Have you heard that word? I like it, but it terrifies me. Right? Because I took science. That's a hard thing. Ecosystems are hard. Not only are they hard, they're hard to keep alive. There's bad ecosystems, there's unhealthy ecosystems, and then there's thriving ecosystems. If you took science at all, thriving ones are hard. The balance, oh my gosh, anything goes wrong, they die. Right? So integrated, she's like, look, folks, this isn't just give people stuff. Who remembers SharePoint? As a Microsoft employee, I'm sorry for SharePoint. So here's the thing, guys. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's why I apologize. Because I know the gentleman that ran the group. I knew the guy that ran the department. When I was at Microsoft, we came out with SharePoint. It was released during my tenure there. And people didn't like it. And then it got worse. Right? And so here's what the guy who wrote the code says. Right? He said, here's what he thinks. He thinks, and by the way, I believe him, that he thinks SharePoint is the most powerful, single most powerful tool, probably outside of Outlook. Because think about what Outlook does in the world today. Take Outlook away and good luck. Think about that. Take Outlook away or email, right? But he feels, for Microsoft, probably the most powerful tool ever released that has been abused and done terribly when it's been implemented. It's this dumping ground thing of a zillion links and a lot of stuff. half of which is old or out of date or I can't find. Or you ever experienced that with SharePoint? Guys, that's not SharePoint's fault. It's whoever made it, whoever designed the SharePoint site's fault, frankly. It's our fault because we keep piling stuff in there, right? That's not SharePoint's fault, right? What other words? Any other words? There's one I personally, because I'm an instructional designer, like a lot. Orchestrated. Why do I love the word orchestrated? Why do you think? What's it mean? What does orchestrated imply? Huh? If something is orchestrated, yeah, it has structure, right? It has intentionality. I love that word. I love what you said. Everything comes together. Have you ever gone to an orchestra before? The conductor doesn't stand up there with a wand, go like this, and come down in every instrument. No. Somehow, miraculously, 80 different things sound spectacular together, don't they? Have you ever listened to them? I'm particularly intrigued by the violin section, because I tried playing it once. It sounds like one violin. Have you ever noticed that? One. There's 9 or 10, or I don't know how many of them, right? One. It's amazing. And while they're doing that, the tuba section is doing nothing. Thank goodness. Right? Why? Because that entire thing has been orchestrated from note 1 to the end of that piece. That's what she means. I love this because what she's saying, you guys, is the green part, remember the green part, the workflow? It's not chaotic. The work is chaotic by nature, I get that. The world is chaotic. But what she's saying is the tools we'll make here are highly stable, highly structured, right? Very easy to use. Even though the world they're consumed in, I get it, is changing and hard and, right? So, what are the principles of making it? I'm going to give you 4. When someone brings, when I go in to do my work, a lot of companies or people say, well, I think we're doing this. And you may be thinking the same. I think we're kind of doing some of this. I think we got some green stuff. Well, here's my slide for you. If you've got effective green stuff, it will pass these 4 principles. If you don't have as effective green stuff, i.e., SharePoint, let me be honest, for many, although there's some wonderful SharePoint stuff. I've seen some brilliant SharePoint stuff. But candidly, I've seen more bad than good. It's because it fails one of these principles or more. Number 1, it has to be embedded. That is a physical thing, my friends. Embedded means while I am doing my work, the thing is accessible. The better I can continue doing my work and use it, the better. Meaning I don't even stop my work and the tool walks by me. Making sense? The farther away from that, we use a statement, a phrase in my company when my friends are building this, and it says 2 clicks, 10 seconds. Because what we have found is if it's 3 clicks, 4 clicks, 78 clicks, there's not a learner alive doing that. LMSs, if I may, way too clicky. Way too clicky. Try it. Try it. Go back to your LMS. Start at the home page. Your password counts, my friends. Your password counts. That's a click. And you try to get to the lesson on margins in Word, if you've got that class. But here's my challenge to you. Don't pick a course that's not, folks, a course doesn't solve a problem. A page of the course, you see where I'm going? Right? That's what these people want. And when you're in the green thing, you want the solution to your problem, not the course. So try this with your LMS next time. See how it does in the click test. Sit at the front page and say, okay, I'm going to solve a problem. I'm going to try to administer blood pressure to a patient. And I've got a course out there that does that. All right? Start clicking. You will be surprised. 25, 38. I've seen some crazy numbers, my friends. Because you got to get to that lesson. You got to get to the page in the lesson that showed you how to apply blood pressure cuff to a patient. You're already talking about nightmares. Brilliant. Number 2, it's got to be contextual. And more specifically, to the role I'm in and the reason I came in here. That's contextual, by the way. Right? So if I encounter stuff that doesn't meet that learners hate that. Why is that on here? Well, that means nothing to me. Get this out of my way. I'm trying to get to this. Right? Everything they encounter, every screen, every button, every paragraph, every graphic is context. It's a contextual cue. You'd be surprised how many really bad ones we've got all over our stuff. And it's cognitively getting in the way of people performing. Number 3, they only want enough to get back to work. They don't want a lot of stuff. They just want enough to get back to work, which is, we're going to talk more about this in a minute because this is an important one. It's hard. This was the hardest thing for me to do. The first 2 is just window dressing, we call it in the States. The first 2 are just operational things, closer, faster. This one's not. This is a design thing. And then last, if it's not right, they hate it. If it's not right, it has to be trusted, correct. This is a whole workshop on content management, my friends. This is all about content management, metadata, content aggregation, user-generated content. These are the words we're using in our world right now, right? But if it's not right, they won't use it. Why would they, right? I go to find that thing about applying the cuff, and it's not the same. I got the cuff in my hand, I look at the picture, it's not the same one. How is this helpful? Well, we upgraded to a new, thanks for nothing, right? Because the thing you showed me to put one on is 2 cuffs ago, right? So, let's dig here a bit. How you doing? You okay? You okay? You're allowed to say yes or no. But I'm going to keep going. So, here we go. Look at that list. Look at that list. Holy cow. Here's another thing my colleague and I do. Remember, I said we often go into companies, we sit in the back of classrooms, we do that checking thing. Because we want to know how balanced, we do the 5-moment thing. Remember the 5-moment thing? We sit down with their stuff and see what moments they're meeting. Remember that one? Here's our other favorite one to do. We ask them, we show them the slides, we say, do you think you have any green stuff? Oh my gosh, we got tons of it here. Show it to me. This is our running list of green stuff. And by the way, it's not a complete list. But these are the winners. These are the ones we see all the time. Look at the question at the top of the slide. Be a learner. Are these dots a learning strategy? Is that a strategy for success? You got to put that cuff on the patient. Go. Pick. What's your concern? What might you be feeling right now? So what do you want to know about them? She said, these are tools, not strategies. So what do you want to know about these tools? 2 things. Which one? Which one right now for my problem? If I give you a hammer and say, build me a house, good luck. Good luck. Because by the way, if you haven't built a house, you need more than a hammer. Like saws and other stuff, nails. But I'll give you the hammer, right? That's the problem here, you guys. You saw a board with a saw and drive a nail with a hammer. You don't do the other. Well, guess what? I have to put a cuff on a patient. One of these might be better at that than the other might in helping me with that. You agree? So that's what the first thing you want to know. Which one should I pick? And here comes the second question right behind it. Which one's best for the level of help I need right now? See what I'm saying? Because this is something we don't understand. There is such a thing as level of help, friends. Right? If you are a doctor, do I need to help you with, blood? It's an interesting concept. People have it running throughout their system. It's often red when it comes out. There's different kinds, A, B. How's a doctor feeling right now? Really? Blood. I've kind of had it already, right? But I'm a guy on the street sitting in a bus, going to give blood, the whole deal. It might be an important thing. You're right, that might be easy. But my point is that's levels of support, folks. It's all in blood. But the doctor didn't need the definition and background and history. You see what I'm saying? So it's not just give me the tool that talks about blood. Some of these, so maybe 5 of them are blood. But each one of them gives a different level of that. Is that making sense? And they get really mad, even if you show them which ones help, when they pick the wrong one. Particularly the one that takes too long. That's the one they hate. I could have done this in 2 minutes. Why don't you just tell me the steps? I had to go to 12 pages to find the steps. I had to sit through the video for 25 minutes before the guy finally said the thing I wanted to hear. I hate that. Why? They're in the workflow. They're in the green part. Time is really important in the green part. You're saving a life, really important. So, the pyramid. The pyramid. We have to understand that Gloria said an orchestrated set of services. We orchestrate learning all the time. Who in this room can finish this sentence for me? Listen, ready, and then give me the end. In this lesson. Right? You hear? In this, say it louder. In this lesson. Oh, look at you people. You're wonderful. Right. If you're an instructional designer, I've written that 50 gazillion times. Because every good lesson starts with it. It's called a learning objective. Specifically, it's called a Magarian learning objective, named after a gentleman named Robert Mager. Right? You wouldn't teach without one. Right? It's on the first page of every lesson. It's on the first page of every screen of an e-learning. Right? That's why? Because I'm in moments 1 and 2, my friends. I'm being trained. I'm learning. And then from there, you give me some underpinnings of conceptually. Then from there, you give me details, so I know what and what's coming. Then you give me steps and I practice. Sound familiar? Then you may test me, and then you start again. That is stunning instruction. Here's the problem. You go down there, it's really lousy. This is why Bill left the book. Make sense now? This is why Bill left the book, my friends, because the book, every page, every lesson started with, in this lesson you will learn. Bill wasn't going back to, that. Anyone know a guy named Captain Sully? Name sound familiar? What did Captain Sully do? Who knows him? He landed a U.S. airline plane on the Hudson River in the United States. You ever heard of the guy? This is a 37-year military pilot flying that plane, thank goodness. Right? He's 10,000 feet over New York City, one of the highest populated cities in the country. 10,000 feet. If you're a pilot, that's not high. He has no thrust. Both engines are gone. And he's not close enough to an airport to make it back. Right? Did he want to hear these words? In this lesson, you will learn. No. No. Did he want to log on to an LMS? Find a course on no thrust. Watch a YouTube video. Call the back of the plane. Hey, we got a problem up here. Anyone back there want to come up and we'll do a little social learning around how to... No. I've heard him speak twice. He's a brilliant, humble man. And he will tell you, in all of his years as a military pilot, outside of simulations, the guy had never been in live action combat in 10,000 feet with a plane no thrust. In his lifetime, that's a bad thing, by the way. Right? What landed him? A checklist. A checklist. Guys, a lot of people think pilots are taught in simulations how to get out of every possible scenario that can happen to a plane. No, they're not. Because you can't. You can't. What they are taught is the thought process to decipher the problem using tools around them. This is green stuff. Based on their knowledge so they don't die. Analyzing crashes, we find, most of them that happen occur, here it comes, my friends, because the pilot goes off script. They get scared. They panic. They guess wrong. When you talk to Sully, he'll tell you, he's a hero, absolutely, but he's such a great guy. He says, look, I'm not the hero. The guy who wrote the checklist is the hero. Isn't that a great guy? But he says, without it, I would be dead. Because one of the first things you do when you have no thrust is you point the nose down. Down. You want to go up really bad. You don't want to go down, but you need speed because you have no engines. But every pilot will tell you, when that thing starts to stall, you're pulling back, up. No, you're going to go down. Right? This, my friends, is the architecture of support. Little to more. See the triangle? Steps to tons. It inverts the design of instruction to the design of support. This is it bigger. Look at the layers. With each layer, my friends, two things happen. The resource becomes bigger, and the time to consume it takes longer. I'll say it again. As you go deeper in the triangle, the size of the resource becomes bigger, and the time to consume it takes longer. But that's a good thing if I need it. Is that making sense? Because what I'm saying is, the thing above didn't help me. So guess what? Here comes the word. I need more. The next level gives me more. More. See what's happening? Right? The slide before had dots and things. Now I'm architecting them in a way that's embedded, contextual, and efficient. Make sense? Look where people are. Look where people are. Last. I don't hate people, my friends. A lot of people think. Here's what I want to be sure you understand. The pyramid, it's a hierarchy of support. It's not a hierarchy of good. Because if I need a person, they're great. What it is, it's a hierarchy of efficiency. Because here's the problem. People have three problems with them as a resource. Three problems. Number one, they're real expensive. Another doctor helping another doctor is the most expensive resource a hospital can expose. Do you agree? Because that other doctor's not doctoring. They're helping the other doctor. No, I'm not saying they shouldn't. Please don't say, oh, Bob's saying then they... No, it happens. What I'm saying is, if that's the default for everything, like where's the Band-Aids? That's an expensive resource for where are the Band-Aids. You see where I'm going? The other problem with them is they can be wrong. You ever known an unconsciously incompetent person? Unconsciously incompetent? They think they know, but they have no clue. They didn't get the memo. On Friday, they were smart. Things changed on the weekend. They come in Monday, and they're no longer smart, but they think they are. And they're telling everybody. Right? And lastly, my friends, you got to find them. People are wandering the floor. They're off doing their jobs, and I'm sitting in front of a patient who's bleeding out. Hold on, I got to go run and find Marge. She's on the 9th floor of Building 12. But you'll be okay. You hang in there. No. So the pyramid, you guys, is built by efficiency, not value. All right, let's wrap this puppy up. So, what about that darn classroom? Remember this story? The general? 6 months, green stuff. Yes, sir. Remember that one? We came back with green stuff. We came back. We did all the stuff we're talking about and a lot of work, right? Performance support, triangles, built the stuff, used a system, mobile, lots of cool stuff. Anyone want to guess at the numbers? Let's start with the slides. Anyone want to guess what we got to with the slides from 1,000? Want to give a number? 1,000 slides down to maybe 500. Half would be great. Remember the half. Red to half. Any other numbers? Okay, we'll go with 500. How about how long? 5 days. Want to guess how long the class was? Down to... See, your choices are 1, 2, 3, or 4. 1. Thank you, young lady. Well, you guys, here's the answer. 75 slides. 2 days of instruction. And you guys, the general was happy. I mean, that's math. But here's what the general was most happy at. Look at that part, you guys. Remember that? That became that. Remember I said earlier I don't hate the classroom, I hate what we've done to it? I hated this class because of what had been done to it. Loved it when it became this. People stopped dying as much. Now people still die. It's a tragic part of that world. But not as much, and that's a good metric, right? So let's talk about the classroom. So if you take content out, you guys, if you take 1,000 slides out down to 75, that's not many. I don't know about you, but I've been a trainer my whole life. I can do 75 slides in a half a day. I can. I've done almost 40 with you in an hour and a half. How's that? Right? So why 2 days then? Why 2 days? Why not go back to the half? You only need. Why not just do the half a day? Is the class about slides? No. Remember this? You all told me this is not the important part of instruction. It's not content, friends. If it's content, then yeah, do it in a half a day. 75 slides, click through them, talk to them, ask a question or two, and then let them out at noon. No. A classroom is about that. A classroom is about practice, review, failure, success, learning from others, building a cohort. Right? That class didn't do any of that thing. Here's an interesting thing. In the military, they find if a class forms a cohort, you know what a cohort means? They have a much higher probability of surviving in the field than if they leave a class not as one. And that doesn't mean they hate each other. That's not what I'm saying. But a cohort is a different thing, right, than people liking each other and having shared email addresses. You agree? Right? But it takes time to build a cohort. Cohort involves one important word, trust. Trust. There was no time for trust in that. So let's do 2 days and do that stuff. So here's what the class becomes, you guys. At the bottom is the class, 2 days. From the green bar on the left to the blue bar on the right, that is 2 days. Got it? Instructional time. The bar on the left is the degree to which the instructor in the room is not going to click through slides, but going to do a very important thing. Either help the students, top, hand hold, not help them, bottom. See it? Top of the green, hand hold. Answer their questions. Bottom of the green, sorry, you're on your own. Axis on the right, the student's ability to do the same thing themselves, on demand. You remember that? With minimum support from others. Remember that one? Right? High-level job performance. You want all those things, folks. You need an independent learner, or you don't get those things. Bottom, no clue. No, they freeze. I have no idea what to do now. You got to help me. I have no idea. Top of the line, back up. Give me a minute. And I think I know how to attack this problem, and come back and see me in a little bit, and I'll see if see it? Here's the formula, my friends. When you have performance support as a tool, when you have green stuff, remember the brown bar? It started in training. It wasn't handed out after. This is so important to be sure you're hearing. If you have green stuff in the red stuff, you ramp yourself out while you ramp them up through others and ultimately through the tool, so that when they get out here, they don't die. So one last question, and then we're going to stop. See this green arrow? See the blue? The blue, sustain, transfer. That's why it keeps going up. It doesn't go down. It keeps shooting up. But look where the green one stopped. That wasn't just because I got lazy and dropped it there when I made the slide. Why does the green arrow stop short of the end of the day? Why wouldn't the instructor just keep helping at least a little? Why? This is so important for this to work. Say again? Thank you. Here's what we've learned. Where are they still? Where's the student right now? Where is the student right now? Here? They're in class. A wonderful, safe place. Not out in Afghanistan, not on the deck of a ship, not hovering over a patient who's bleeding out. I'm in the wonderful sanctity of a classroom with friends around and a gifted instructor up in front. If I crash and burn here, nothing happens. Nothing happens. Yeah, maybe something happens. But I walk away, we all walk away. Right? Once I get here, now it matters. If you do not let them practice on their own with these tools, green stuff, let them fail. Failure, by the way, is great. To fail is better. Because you know what they do? They say, my God, I can pick myself up. I can get out of this. If they succeed, they think they're great. And they're not great, by the way. So failing is terrific. But the power is in the recovery and how they do it. Let me tell you a story. You might be a little overwhelmed. That's what I do. Plus, I'm English. I speak American English, which is the worst kind. So let me tell you a quick story, because here's where remember my main objective was for you to be maybe buying into this. Remember the first bullet? I wanted you to be thinking, there might be more to this than I knew. I might want to learn more. That was my goal. That was my goal of the whole thing. If you went deeper, that's great. But you also might be thinking, wow. How am I going to do that? Where do I start? You guys, I'm watching some heads. I'm seeing some guys. I get that. By the way, that's why I'm giving you this. Remember this? You got tons of performance support out there in doing this. That community saved my life as a developer more times than I can tell you. So you got that. But here's the other thing. Just go. You got time. When I was a third grade teacher, my third year, I was 25 years old. I just finished my master's thesis in introducing. This is 1985. I just finished my master's thesis in bringing computers, how to bring computers into public school classrooms to use as a teaching tool. Nobody was doing it at the time. That was my master's thesis. I thought it was pretty groundbreaking stuff. So I brought it to my school board. That's what we call in the States the people that run schools. That's where you have to bring your ideas for funding and stuff. So I did a 45-minute, unbelievable presentation on how spectacular my thesis was. And all I'm thinking is, my God, these people are going to be speechless. And they're going to give me thousands of dollars, and I'm going to change public education as we know it, and win a Nobel Prize, and it's just going to be unbelievable. So and I got done with my thing. They said these words, well, we'll be right back, because what they do now is they go into what's called closed session to talk about stuff, and then they come back, and they give you the answer. It's kind of like the witch's broom in the Wizard of Oz, if you've ever watched that movie. And so they come back, and they look very serious, and they say, Bob, by the way, we cannot be prouder to have you as a teacher. That's just brilliant work. And we're very proud to tell you that you are in our 5-year plan. Anyone know what that means? Translates into? Yeah, you're never doing it here. You're never, right? And to say I was mad is not enough. So I left that building. I broke things. I drove a car way too fast. Pulled into my apartment. Immediately called my mom. Why? Because my mom when she retired, was a 42-year school teacher in the States. One of the best teachers I've ever seen besides her being my mom. She was my hero. So I needed a colleague to vent with. So I did. Oh, I screamed. I yelled. I said words you shouldn't say to your mom. And after a little bit, she goes, okay, stop. Are you done? I said, yes, I am done. She says these words, okay, Bob, no, so listen, what do you want from me now? Do you want the mom answer? Or do you want the colleague answer? I said, well, I kind of like the mom answer, if you don't mind. And she goes, oh, sweetheart, you're amazing. I could not be proud of you. You are the most incredible son a mother could ever have. That work is, I'm tearing up here because I just think you're amazing. I'm like, yes, I knew it. And I said, okay, I'm ready, Mom. what would a colleague say? And she goes, Bob, I hate teachers like you. I went, Mom? Like, what's the deal? She goes, here's the thing, Bob. Here's the thing. I love your energy. My God, I don't have it anymore. I don't. And you're young and you're excited, and I admire that. And it's just don't ever. I hope you never lose that, but guess what? You're probably going to. But here's what you don't get about teaching. And she said these words, and I've never forgotten them to this day. She said, Bob, although there will be revolutionary methodologies and technologies in teaching, they'll only ever be adopted in an evolutionary way. Got goosebumps? I do. Right? She said, Bob, although there will be revolutionary methodologies and technologies in teaching, they'll only be adopted by that archaic system in an evolutionary way. And you want to change Warsaw Central by next term. And your school board said, too much. Great idea, but holy cow. Well, my friends, that's my advice to you. I know I've said a lot in English, right? You're absorbing stuff. You're trying to think, but the good news is you got time. Win little battles. Lose a few. Make sense? But I'm standing here 9 years later, and I'm in a really good place. 9 years later. It has been an honor. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the conference.